everybody, welcome to Tangle Break. Today we're going to be doing this tile with fragments G6 and F3. We're going to use the 8 basic steps of the Zentangle method. Step number 1 is gratitude and appreciation. I'm thankful for the time that we're able to take a break from our day to relax and draw. And the tools that we're going to use are a Micron 01 pen, a Tortillon, a pencil, and a 3.5-inch tile. So let's get started. Step number 2 is corner dots. So take your pen. Step number 3 is to draw the border. Just connect the dots and turn your tile and bring the line down. Step number 4 is the string. And for fragments, we're going to do a grid. And the grid we're going to do today is called Reticula RE1. So we're going to start in the middle and divide the tile in half. Then we're going to go right beside it and draw another line right beside it to make a band. Then we're going to go to the middle section of the left side, draw a line down halfway, and then do a band beside it. And then go to the right side, do the same thing, draw a line down and a band. Then turn your tile, and we're going to make the bands this way. And when you go to the band, you stop, picture it going under, start again, picture it going under, start again, and then go to the bottom. And then do the band right beside it. When you get to the band, go underneath, just picture going underneath. Okay, now we need to divide the 2 other sections into the bands. And draw beside it, and when you get to the band, just stop. Go to the next one and stop. Now go to the right-hand side, draw to the line, stop, picture going underneath. And do your band beside it. Okay, that's our grid. It's Reticula RE1. Step 5 is the tangle. So we're going to do our fragments. We're going to start with fragment G6, which is at the top, and then we'll come back and do fragment F3. So we're going to start at the top left-hand corner and just draw an orb, which is a circle, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's why they call it an orb. And then you're going to draw lines attaching to the top line and the bottom line, and then the sides. Then you're going to go back and draw another circle that goes underneath those bands that you just drew. And then we're going to draw and connect the corners. Then we're going to go to the middle of the circle, the inner circle, and put little caps on the bars. Put little caps on them and fill them in. And that's it. So now we're going to alternate the boxes, and we'll just fill in all of G6 where they need to go. And to make it easier, I'm just going to put an orb in every other box so that I can just relax and draw because I'll know where to go next. Every other box. Okay, now let's go back and start on the left-hand side. and go to the top. Make a band to the bottom. Make a band on both sides. Then you go in with another circle underneath these bands. Then the corners. Connect the corners. Then put the caps on the bands in the middle of the circle. Fill them in. And move on. Next one, band to the top, band to the bottom, bands on the sides, bands on the corners. Oh, wait a minute, circle. Let's do the circle around underneath the bands. Now the corners. Put the caps in and fill it in. Band to the top, band to the bottom, bands on the sides, circle, bands on the corners, caps on the bands in the circle, fill them in, and on to the next one. Bands, circle, corners, caps in the middle, and move on. Bands to the top and bottom, bands to the sides, bands to, oh, let's do the circle, bands to the corners, put the caps on the bands in the circle, and now the next one. Oh, let's get that cap. Band to the top, band to the bottom, bands to the sides, circle, corners, caps in the circle, fill them in, and the last one, bands on the top and bottom, bands on the sides, put your circle underneath the bands, corners, caps on the bands, fill them in, and G6 is completed. Now we're going to move on to alternate F3. So we'll start with this one. Go from the bottom left corner to the top right corner, and then you're going to aura it just right below it. Then we're going to make an X, go to the top left corner, come down, and you're going to go to the bottom right. Underneath, go underneath, picture going underneath. Now aura that line, and you're underneath. Now we're going to go make 2 more lines. We're going to go from the top to the bottom and connect that line that's at the next fragment. And then you're going to go back up. And then we're going to connect the 2 lines on the sides. So now it looks like we have woven the fragments together underneath the grid. And that's how we're going to alternate all the other fragments. So from the bottom left to the top right, aura. From the top left to the bottom right, and you're going underneath an aura. Now we're going to go from the top to the bottom, and we're going to connect the lines that we have in the other fragments. And then we're going to go from side to side and connect the fragment band that's in the next box. And that's it. And you can already see that it looks like it is woven underneath. So now we're just going to fill them in. Bottom left to the top right, aura. Top left to the bottom right, go underneath, aura. From the top to the bottom, well, we can go to the bottom to the top. And then across. And connect it to the next tile. To the next fragment. Okay. Bottom left, top right, aura. Top left, bottom right, and go underneath. Connect top to bottom and connect the sides. And you can see that the lines are not perfectly straight, and that's good because it's woven underneath. Takes the pressure off. You can keep relaxing. There's no perfection in this. We just relax and draw. Just try to connect it to the line beside. Just try to keep the bands connecting. The top one, and then the sides. We have just 2 left. Bottom left, top right, aura. Top left, bottom right, go underneath, and aura. And then we'll connect the sides, and look how it goes down a little bit, just to give it a little bit of variation there, and just a little turn to it. Gives you the feeling of movement, and just wait till we shade it. Bottom left, top right, aura. Top left, bottom right, underneath, and aura. Connect the middle band, going from bottom to top, and then we'll go across, and you've finished. So now, step 6 is to shade. Grab your pencil. This takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. See how it's going to have that look? So you can really see the movement of the weave underneath, how we've woven it. Okay, so let's work on this transformation. I'm going to go up here to the top, and where you see that it's underneath the frame, and then anything that's underneath, I'm shading. You can just look and see the different bands that are under. If you can tell that it goes under something, that's where you want the shade. And just go from box to box, wherever it's under. And we're going to go back with the Tortillon and blend it all in. So, but right now, wherever you can tell that it goes underneath, that's where you put the shade. On these lines, around the grid. And so that's pretty much how we're going to do every single one. Wherever it looks like it's underneath, that's where you want the shade. And you'll get into the groove and just can move from box to box. Okay. Where the bands go across the other band, that's where you want the shade. So the one that we did first doesn't have much shade on it at all, except where it hits the grid. Okay. So move on to the next row and take your time and just enjoy shading. It will really pop when we use the Tortillon to blend all the shading. Okay, you just keep looking for where it goes underneath, and that's where you put your shade. So on the circles, it's beside every band, and then the band's coming from underneath the circle. And then every band, every time it hits the grid. Okay, we're halfway done. It gets easier and easier to see where the bands are that go underneath. Just relax and keep shading. Okay, the last column. Okay, and the last two fragments. Okay. Now it's time to take your tortillon and we're going to go back and blend everything in. Just making your tortillon or your Q-tip or your finger, just lightly go over the pencil marks to blend it in. And it just makes those fragments pop. When I can make a circular motion with the tortillon, I do, because it just blends it a little bit easier. But with such little spaces, sometimes I have to go back and forth. Sometimes I try to do circles if it'll fit. There you go. You get the idea, and it really makes it pop. So just enjoy blending it in. I'm not putting any shade on the grid itself, the RE1. I'm just letting it stay on the forefront. I'm just doing the fragments. The bands that are further away, that are down underneath, they definitely get darker. Okay, in the last column, And the last fragment. And we are done shading. I love the weave look. All right, step 7 is initial and sign. You put it as your chop. I do a B and then an S sideways. And then turn it over on the back. This was Tangle Break. Fragments G-6 and F-3. And it was the Reticula RE1. And step 8 is appreciate again. And you can look at it in any direction. Well, thank you for joining me to take a break from your day, and I'll see you next time on Tangle Break. Bye for now.